Hey guys, so I just got back from seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I've got to tell you, it is probably the best, maybe not even probably, it is the best animated superhero film that I have ever seen in my entire life. And it is up there with any animated film. It was mind-blowingly phenomenal, and I can't wait to go see it again. I almost was like, is there tickets for the next showing? Because I need to get back in there and see this again. So here's my review. First half spoiler-free, second half filled with spoilers. So if you don't want to know the spoilers, you can still watch half my review. Let's dig into this. I'm Tessa with mamasgeeky.com. So being a comic book nerd, I was like really super excited for this movie going into it. Just the animation style, you know, all the dots where it looks like it's literally ripped from the pages. You know, we see words up in the corners where people are thinking things and saying things, and it's like a comic book. It's like a comic book came to life, and it totally delivers. I mean, we see that throughout the entire film, guys. So I'll be honest, I don't know too much about Spider-Gwen, and I don't know too much about Penny Parker. Just storylines that I never got into, but now I want to go back and read them all. I want to read everything. I know Peter Porker, Spider-Ham, love Peter Porker, Spider-Ham, always been one of my favorites. Spider-Noir, again, amazing, fantastic storylines, love it. Obviously, Peter Parker I'm a big fan of, but these other two I just never really got into them, so I'm really excited to learn more. Miles Morales, I knew a little bit about, not too much, but now I want to go back and continue reading. And there's even another spider that shows up somewhere towards the very end. So again, stay past the credits, you guys. Don't want to miss that. I know a little bit about that spider as well. So I was excited to see that spider show up. But the whole thing was just so good. You know, you start off pretty much with Miles, you know, he's heading off to school. He's at a school where he stays during the week. He stays there. So he's leaving to go there. He's walking. His dad drives him and totally embarrasses him. We see this in the trailer. His dad says, "Hey, I want and I love you." It's funny right from the start. I went with my whole family, my 5- and 7-year-old. They both really loved this movie. My 5-year-old was so into it the whole time, and my 7-year-old literally cheered at the end of the movie. So it was that good. But anyways, you know, we see Miles. He has all these sort of things happen to him. You know, he's like has no real friends, and he likes this girl that's new, and she kind of is like, he doesn't know how to talk to her. He sneaks off to go see his Uncle Aaron, and lo and behold, they go somewhere, and he ends up getting bit by a spider. Now, I will say there was a little bit of a twist that I kind of figured out almost right away, but it didn't ruin the film for me. So Miles gets bit by the spider and, of course, has no idea what's happening to him. Why is his body changing? He actually jokes several times that he thinks he's going through puberty, which I found hilarious. It was all so great. And then we find out he kind of goes back to find the spider that bit him just to see if it was a normal spider. Yeah, it wasn't a normal spider. And then he kind of starts to realize there's something going on. He's hearing fighting. He follows. So he discovers Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and Green Goblin, who's one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man villains, so I was thrilled about that. Sees them battling. There's this big machine, and you kind of realize that whatever this machine is doing, it's messing things up, right? It's messing with reality, and kind of it's collapsing universes, and dimensions, right? We, you know this is coming. Obviously, it's Into the Spider-Verse. You know in the trailers, this isn't really a spoiler. All the spiders, or several spider people, I should say, show up in Miles Morales' dimension, right? Show up in his universe. So all the action and everything that happens is just so good. I mean, it's nonstop action. It's nonstop comedy. There's so many nods for comic book lovers. Like, there was so many things. I know I missed a bunch, and I saw a lot, and I was just so thrilled with all of it. The different spider people all have different animation styles, which is perfect. Their origin stories, they talk about all their origin stories at one point. They're like, oh, let's talk about it. And it's literally a comic book. So each one of them has literally their own comic book, and they start stacking on top of each other. And it's so amazing. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so good. Again, I can't wait. I want to go back and see it again. I need to go back and see it again. I kind of want to go see it again tomorrow. Like, it was that good. It was that good. The ending is fabulous. The whole thing ties up perfectly. Of course, you get a little bit of, is there going to be another one? What's going on? I totally cried a couple of times. I'll get into that in the spoiler part. But all in all, I say this is a film for the entire family. Again, my 5- and 7-year-old both loved it. I loved it. My husband loved it. It's a must-see film if you're a Spider-Man fan. Even if you aren't a Spider-Man fan, you need to go see it, okay? Just head to theaters and see it. I promise you will not be disappointed. Now into the spoilery-ish part. We see at the very beginning when Peter Parker and the Goblin are fighting, Peter gets really, really hurt, and we see the Kingpin come in and kills him, okay? He kills Peter Parker, and it is devastating. Miles watches, right? Peter has promised Miles, hey, oh my gosh, you're like me. I will show you the ropes. And then, you know, Miles is like, I should do something to help him, but he's just got his powers. He doesn't know what he's doing. He can't control them. And, you know, he basically watches Peter die. So Peter Parker is dead. And that really, like, let's just be honest here, it sucks, okay? It comes out in the news. Everyone says Peter Parker was Spider-Man. MJ, has a speech about him in which she even says, like, my husband, Peter Parker. And it's so sad. One part that's really awesome is, like I said, they have a lot of nods to different things. Like there's a nod to the spider, the dune buggy, which is funny. They even talk about Spider-Man 3 and they're like, one time I did this. Hey. But we don't talk about that because, you know, Spider-Man 3 wasn't exactly one of the best movies. But it was just so good. Like, I know I keep saying it and I sound like a broken record, but it was such a good movie, such a good film. One of the parts that really got me, I knew it was going to happen. I mean, we all know Stan Lee makes cameos in these movies, right? And of course, for Spider-Man. Spider-Man, it was his baby, right? He created Spider-Man. And so at one point, this is right after Peter Parker dies, Miles Morales decides to go buy a Spider-Man suit. The store owner is Stan Lee. Try not to cry, guys. The first words out of Stan Lee's mouth, the character's mouth, are, I miss him. And I was like, God, like, cause Stan Lee, I miss him. He didn't, know he was going to be dead before this came out, obviously, when he recorded this. So he says, I miss him, Spider-Man and I were friends. And I'm not going to cry, guys. So that part was really hard for me. I cried a bit. And, but anyway, then the story goes on and we see, Miles goes to Peter Parker's grave and that's when the other Peter Parker shows up and you find out, oh, he's like, hey, I just got sucked into this dimension. They make several jokes about him being overweight. He's been devastated. He got divorced from MJ. He buried his Aunt May. Like his life and his dimension is a mess. He's going crazy. He said he was, he's been eating pizza like crazy. And so we see him and he's, again, a bit of a mess, right? He does not want to help Miles. He just wants to get back home. Now, before Peter died, Miles promised Peter that he would stop this machine. He would break it. He gave him a little USB, which he ended up breaking at one point. So he teams up with all the other spiders as he finds them. Gwen is one of them. Gwen Stacy. She was a new student at his school and it found out that when the thing started where it was collapsing dimensions, it actually shot her into the last week. But there's all sorts of different, again, from the trailers, different spiders in this verse. One of the things that was pretty awesome is there was a female, Doc Ock, right? Dr. Octavius. And he even said, do your friends call you Doc Ock? She's like, my friends call me Liv. My enemies call me Doc Ock. She was really awesome. She was really, really cool. One of my favorite characters. Kingpin was awesome. He was hanging out with Tombstone a lot. And then he also had the Prowler by his side. So Prowler was Uncle Aaron, and he's actually sent to kill Miles at one point later on in the movie. They come face to face. He's about to kill him, and Miles takes his mask off. And Uncle Aaron, or the Prowler, I should say, realizes that it's Miles and says, like, I'm not going to kill you. And when he decides not to kill him, Kingpin kills Aaron. Right now, as we know, Miles's father is a police officer. So, he sees Spider-Man basically over Prowler, and he sees that Prowler is Aaron, his brother, and he thinks that, Spider-Man did it. So he's really not happy with Spider-Man at this point. But Everything works out because he sees the Spider-Man, I guess, he sees them all joining forces at the end to really defeat this, and they all need to go back to their dimensions. That's a whole thing. I mean, I hate to give away major spoilers of everything that happens in the middle, but they end up meeting up at Aunt May's house, which is awesome, and they get into this amazing, like, Spider-Man, it's like a bat cave for Spider-Man. It's awesome. That's where we see his dune buggy, which was so funny to me because that thing is crazy. But they had just so many references and so many awesome things that anyone who knows even a little bit about Spider-Man would be excited to see. Of course, in the end, it all works out. Everyone gets back to their right dimensions. The machine breaks. The reason Kingpin has made this machine is to try to bring his family who has died back in. Vanessa and his son, Richard. I don't want to give too much away, but, you know, that's obviously everything is fixed. Everyone goes back to their dimensions. At the end, you see a glimmer of maybe they can somehow speak to each other. Is there going to be a future here? What's going on? Stay through the credits. I promise you, not only are you going to hear a song, a Christmas song from Spider-Man, which is everything. In the end, you're going to see a little glimpse of Spider-Man 2099. They joke, where were you for the last 2 hours? Because that's how long the movie is, and that's where we saw the other Spider people. He's like, hey, I missed something. And they find out they can travel through time, and they shoot him, and dimensions, really. They shoot him back into a classic Spider-Man cartoon, which is so funny and 1,000% worth the stay to after the credits. When the movie does end, we do get a quote from Stan Lee, a little drawing of his glasses, you know, when he talks about how anyone can be Spider-Man. And Miles even says that at the end, anyone can wear the mask. It's not just up to him. And then it actually even has a little thank you to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko for creating this amazing character and this world and letting everyone know that it is really, truly up to us to be good people. And I just think that is a great lesson. I know my daughters have kind of learned this lesson. They were saying like, oh, anyone can be Spider-Man. Like anyone can be good in this world. You just have to be good. And, you know, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko are people who taught us that. And I think it just was so perfect. Like I said, the quote at the end with the glasses got me a little bit. His cameo where, you know, his first thing he says is, I miss him, was also very touching, especially considering we literally just lost Stan Lee. So I promised myself I'm not going to cry, but I will just say this movie is so good. Between the different animation styles, the villains are great. The story itself is just amazing. And I just really don't want to give too much. I mean, I gave a lot away, but I don't want to give too much away because you guys really need to go see and experience this for yourself. It is just phenomenal. There's a reason it was nominated for Best Animated Film. I would be very surprised if it doesn't win. It is up against some amazing competition, but I really think it deserves it. And this is probably going to be one of my most favorite animated movies of all time. Probably one of my favorite superhero movies, and that says a lot. It's easily in my top 5 right now. I enjoyed every moment of it. I think every little part was just fantastic. There wasn't one flaw. There really wasn't one flaw in the whole entire thing. So that's it. That's my review. I think you guys should go see it. I'm trying not to give a lot away, but I feel like I gave a lot away. So I'm sorry, guys. I hope, you know, I did warn about spoilers. So if you didn't want them, I hope you stopped watching in time. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please give me a thumbs up and comment below and tell me what you thought of this amazing film. And did that cameo hit you right in the heart like it did for me? Thanks for taking the time to watch this, guys. And I hope you go see this movie in theaters while it's out. I really think you should.